Good morning. This is Kelly from Freebie Finding Mom, and this morning we're going to make an easy sausage breakfast casserole. It's one of my family's favorites, and I'm excited to share it with you because I think it's perfect for holiday entertaining and just a great brunch idea when you have family and friends over. So we're going to go ahead and make our easy sausage breakfast casserole. Let me pan down here. See if it'll let me do that. There we go. There we are. All right. I've made this recipe probably 15 times or more, and like I say, it's just our family's favorite. I make it when we have house guests over. I make it for family just on a normal Sunday morning. I've made it for carry-ins, for different like family gatherings or work functions. So it's, like I say, it's just a great, easy breakfast recipe for pretty much anybody would enjoy it, I would think. Sorry, I'm adjusting my tripod. Hello, there we go. See, hope that holds. Okay, so in this breakfast casserole, it's sausage and mushrooms, onions, and spinach. Obviously, if you're not a spinach person, you can omit the spinach, but honestly, you don't really taste it that much. There's so many other things in this recipe that I would try it first with the spinach before you think you don't like the spinach in it. First, we're just going to warm up our stove here. And I'm going to put the sausage here in a minute, but I'm also going to chop up an onion. You need about half of a cup of onion. I sometimes will put a little bit more, just personal preference. I will say this too, the recipe is on the blog, but sorry, I just need to grab an eye. The recipe is on freebiefindingmom.com. There is some slight changes to what you'll see on the blog. On the blog, it has, I want to say, I think it uses cinnamon, because this is an original recipe on the blog. It uses cinnamon instead of nutmeg. I just made changes based on what my family prefers, and obviously you can do the same with your family. But, so with that being said, you know, I think that's the only changes. I think there's cinnamon used in the recipe on the blog, whereas I'm going to use nutmeg today. And I also believe there's a little bit more cheese used in the recipe on the blog. I think it's maybe 2 cups of cheese on the blog recipe, whereas I'm going to use about 1.5 cups today. So you use what you prefer based on your family's, you know, preferences, what they like. Like I said, right now I'm just going to chop up half of an onion, which we're going to put here in the stove with our sausage. Now, like I said, I'm sharing this recipe with you this morning because, you know, come the holidays, a lot of us are going to be entertaining, having family over and friends over, and quite possibly have overnight guests. And so if you have overnight guests, and at least if it's with, like I am, I like to have meals that are kind of all one pot meals. So then that way you're not spending all morning in the kitchen making, you know, several different dishes. You can actually be hanging out with, you know, your family and friends. So that's a big reason why I love this recipe. Not only is it delicious, but it's all in one dish, and most everybody really likes it. Now, I will say, even though I say everybody really likes it, when my son was little, he ate this no problem. I mean, we would pack it, honestly, when we would go on long car rides, we would pack it for him, and we would take a long stroller walk. We'd pack this casserole, I'd warm it up, put it in a thermos, and then put it on a stroller tray, and he would eat it while we walked to the park. But now, as he has gotten older, for whatever reason, he is less interested in this recipe. So he doesn't really like it right now. So I'm thinking he will at another point in time, but right now he's just not a big fan of it. I'm also, now that I've chopped up some of my onion, like I said, I need 1/2 cup of onion. I'm just opening a pound of just bulk pork sausage. And that's what's also going to go in here on the stove. This is just an original Bob Evans brand, but obviously you can use any brand. This is just an original style of sausage. I have made this when my husband, he prefers things a little bit spicier. So I have used like the spicy pork sausage before when I've made this. Right now I just had this on about a medium heat. You're gonna brown this, so you may wanna do a medium to high level heat once I get my onions in there. Just be careful you don't burn your onions. Been there, done that. So as I was saying, I've made this recipe, I'm sure, more than 15 times. In fact, to be honest with you, I made it a few days ago because I wanted to have a final version so that you didn't have to wait the 35 minutes that it takes to put this in the oven. So I made this recipe a few days ago so I would have a finished product for you. So, and I actually just sent it home with my mom, and for my mom and my aunt actually, because we were out of town this past weekend. So now, it smells so good, I love sausage. Sausage and onion. So like I said, we're just gonna brown this up. I'm gonna turn this up to like a medium high now. And then I'm gonna put in my half a cup of onion here. I've also seen recipes very similar to this. That beeping, by the way, is my oven, which we preheated to 350 degrees. I've also seen recipes similar to this, just called like a hearty, like egg casserole, because there's a lot of eggs used in this casserole. We use a dozen. So like I said, this is a very filling meal. This is a meal. So if, like I said, if you're like, oh, you know, I need something that's gonna fill, you know, a lot of people's bellies, I don't wanna make a bunch of different dishes, this is a great breakfast or brunch idea because, like I said, it has loads of vegetables in it. It's got the onion, the mushroom, the spinach in it. So you get a side dish, like maybe have a croissant with it, toast, have some fruit, and that's pretty much usually all I do whenever I make this for guests. Now I'm putting my onion into my measuring cup to make sure I get about a half a cup. Looks like I'll probably need a little bit more, and I usually add a little extra anyways, but super simple. I'll add a bit more. Especially if your family loves cheese, like my family does. There's a lot of cheese. Like I say, on the blog, the recipe uses about 2 cups of cheese. I'll use about 1.5 cups in this recipe. Again, just personal preference. You eyeball it. Sometimes I use a little bit more than 1.5 cups, but not quite 2. Whatever I think looks good. Because you'll use about 1 cup in the recipe itself, and then after the casserole has baked in the oven, that's when you'll put the remaining cheese on after you pull it out. So at that point you can determine if you want to put the 1/2 cup or a full cup of cheddar cheese on it. So if you are somebody who on Christmas morning wake up and make, you know, like monkey bread or some kind of a breakfast recipe, I encourage you to consider this one because another reason I love this is you can definitely make this the night before. I do that most of the time when I make this, actually. I make it the night before. And then that way it's in the fridge, covered in foil. In the morning, take the foil off, have my oven preheating to 350 degrees, you're good to go. This is just our 1/2 cup of onion going in with our pounds of sausage, just a bulk pork sausage. We're just gonna brown this up together. And like I said, you heard the beep, so our oven is preheated already. But like I said, this is a great one for, you know, like Christmas morning, because Christmas Eve or even the day before that, go ahead, mix it together. You can have all of this prep done. It's already been in the fridge. You wake up in the morning, preheat your oven, put it in. For that reason too, it's also good for a school day too. Make it the night before. While the kids are getting ready, getting dressed, things like that in the morning, you're preheating your oven, or you might even have it already preheated. And then while everybody's getting ready, 35 minutes, which is about how long it typically takes for myself and my son to get ready, you'll have this done. That's all it takes in the oven, about 35 minutes. Sometimes a little bit less. Our oven cooks a little faster, so mine I think I usually put on for around 30, 32 minutes, something like that. Basically until when you put a toothpick or a fork in the center, and obviously it comes out clean. So we're browning this up. As I mentioned before, this recipe includes a good bit of vegetables, and it includes mushrooms and spinach and our onion, which is in here now. So it's a great way to sneak in vegetables for the kids if they are kind of anti-vegetable. So while that is browning, I'm going to go ahead and grease our dish, our casserole dish, with just some butter. As I mentioned before, after this video, after I tape it, I'm going to share the link in the post here on Facebook. So you can go direct to Freebie Finding Mom. And if you, actually the casserole recipe I just put live this morning on Freebie Finding Mom. So you haven't seen this recipe yet, because I literally just put it up there minutes ago. And as I mentioned before, the only difference between what we're making right here and what you're going to see on the website is that this recipe here, I'm going to omit the cinnamon and I'm going to use nutmeg instead. Again, just a personal family preference. Very similar though. And instead of using about 2 cups of cheddar cheese, just the shredded cheddar cheese, we're on the blog, it says 2 cups, and I'm only going to use about 1.5 cups. So that's really the only difference between the recipe on Freebie Finding Mom and what I'm doing right here. I think we've got our casserole dish buttered up nicely. And we're browning up well here our sausage and our onion. There we go. Bring this up here. Also, for the spinach that you're going to use a 10-ounce container of frozen chopped spinach. Obviously, you're going to want it thawed, so mine is already thawed, which is what we're going to put in here once we brown up our sausage and onion. And if you're used to watching these Freebie Finding Mom videos here on Sunday or Saturday mornings, you're going to see a difference this morning, and that is that my little taste tester is not here with us, because he actually, that's my son Ian, he actually, oh good, this is browning up nicely. He is spending the night he did the last 2 nights with his Nana. So he is not home yet. He was living it up at his Nana's house. They went to the pumpkin patch, and he went to an indoor inflatable place. So needless to say, I am certain he got spoiled. But as I mentioned, he's actually truthfully not a fan of this recipe anymore. He liked it a lot when he was younger. He would eat it very frequently. I would say I made it for him about every 6 weeks or so. And no issue. He would eat big chunks of this casserole and loved every bit of it. But now, I don't know if it's texture. I don't know if it's just that he's 4 and decided he doesn't want it right now. But he's changed his mind. So it's kind of okay that I'm making this recipe without him today, because he probably would not want to eat it right now. But I assure you, this is a great way for your kids, if they're not quite as picky, to sneak in some veggies, especially spinach, because that's one that can be a toughie, unless you do it in like a smoothie or something. That could be a tough one to work into the kids' appetites. All right. Let me check the blog real quick, see if I have any questions or comments while we're browning up here. Oh, that's great, Beth. I hope you consider this one. You know, my mom actually said something very similar. She wasn't going to take it to like a church function, but she lives in a community, and she even said herself that when they have like their holiday parties, she thought this would be a really great recipe to make for to bring, you know, at the holiday party. So I hope they try it. I mean, I can't imagine someone not liking it. Like I say, unless you don't like mushrooms or spinach or something, or unless you're vegetarian, obviously, then that would be. You'd have to change out the sausage, but it's just really hearty, and like I say, I love that it's all in one pan. I found this recipe actually because, and just changed the original recipe to fit my family, because we were having house guests years ago, and I'm going to go ahead and start whipping up our heavy cream and eggs. So I'll get a bowl here. Okay. saying, I found this recipe a few years ago, probably, well, more than a few, probably like 6 years ago or 7. Whenever we were having house guests over and like to spend the night, and they had several kids, so I knew I'd be busy helping them take care of their kids and things. So I just wanted something that I could make the night before that would be filling, then, and it would be, you know, like I say, one dish that would really be enough for everybody, and I wouldn't have to have a lot of side dishes. And that's why I decided to make this, and it worked out really well. So right now, while we're browning our onion and our sausage, over here I'm just cracking 12 eggs. So it does require quite a few eggs, which is why, like I said, I've seen similar recipes like this, and it's called something like an egg casserole. There's a lot of different names, but just a plain breakfast casserole, whatever you want to call it. And I encourage you, take this and make it what you want it for your family. If your family's not a fan of spinach, no problem, leave it out. Put something else in its place. If you want to throw in maybe some green pepper or something like that, that could be really delicious. I love green pepper and onion with my eggs. There's so many different ways you can. And like I said, I've used like a spicy sausage when I made this a lot, like I say, when my son was really young, and so I got used to just using the original type of sausage. But my husband likes things that have more flavor and more spice to them. So when my son stopped liking this, a lot of times I would make it with like more of a spicy sausage. Still tastes really good. And the spicy, because it's cooked through, it's not like it's incredibly spicy, but it does have a little bit more flavor and more kick to it than just the original, which is what I used here. So we've got about 12 eggs here, cracked up. And our sausage is nearly browned, it looks like, so we're about done there. I'm going to grab the fork and whisk this together real quick. Let me stir this so we're not going to burn. Smells delicious. Once this is completely brown, which we're almost there, it looks like, we'll just take this over to the sink and drain this out. There's not a lot of grease to it, but there is some. And that's about ready. Let me whisk our eggs real quick together. In here with the eggs is where we're going to add the nutmeg and the heavy cream. And ultimately, we're going to pour this on top of our sausage, onion, mushrooms, cheese, and spinach. All right, so we've got that whisked together pretty well. Now I'm going to take this off the stove because this looks nicely browned. Smells delish. I'm going to drain this out. Be right back. Let me drain this real quick. We are drained, not much grease. That's good. All right, make sure I'm telling you everything here. Yep, bok pork sausage. We've turned the heat off. We have our onion in here. Now I'm going to add, a cup of cheese, my spinach, and my mushrooms. So, like I said, after this is browned up, and here's our sausage and our onion, we're now going to add 1 cup of just shredded cheddar cheese. And you heard the beep earlier of my oven, so we've already preheated the oven to 350 degrees. I need a little bit more cheese. It's going to bake, like I say, the original recipe says 35 minutes. My oven, I think I leave it on for about 32, I would say. Because I've made this enough, I think it's about 32 minutes. just whenever you test it, make sure your fork comes out clean in the center. There's our cup of cheese, cup of shredded cheddar cheese. We also are going to add to this our thawed 10 ounces of chopped spinach. Again, even if your family doesn't like spinach, which, you know, if you ask me, I would probably say I'm not a huge spinach fan, but in dishes like this, I love it because it's not like you taste so much of the spinach taste. There's so many other flavors going on here that it's hardly noticeable. And then lastly, we're just gonna add a 4.5 ounce jar drained of sliced mushrooms. I'm gonna go drain those and then put that in as well. Such a good dish to make for the holidays. Like I said, love dishes that I can make the night before. Because in the mornings, no matter how much I plan, no matter how early in the morning I get up, I'm still always running around like a maniac. So I love dishes like this because then I know the night before it's already whipped together. And so I just have to pop it in the oven in the morning, which is, like I said, how I usually make this recipe. So right now we're stirring together our sausage, onion, mushroom, spinach, and our cup of cheddar cheese. And we're going to then transfer it to our greased casserole dish. And we're almost done. That's why I said it's easy. We have to put our heavy cream and nutmeg into our whisked eggs that we did just a minute ago. And then that we will pour on top, and that is it. We'll put it in the oven for, like I said, about 30 to 35 minutes. You'll just watch it and see. Make sure you try not to overbake it and burn it. And then you top it after you take it out of the oven. You top it with personal preference. I'm gonna use a half a cup of cheddar cheese, the recipe, which, like I said, I'm gonna put the link to it here at the bottom of this video post. So you can go directly to Freebie Finding Mom and easily find it. If you want to see the full recipe right now, you can just hop on over to Freebie Finding Mom because I made it live this morning. So you will see the full recipe with photos on the blog this morning. Let me make sure before I transfer this I'm not forgetting something. So yeah, we put a pound of pork sausage in here, a half a cup of chopped onion, 1 cup of the shredded cheddar cheese, a 10-ounce package of chopped spinach, a 4.5 ounce jar of sliced mushrooms, and then we're just going to transfer that into our casserole dish. All right. This recipe just looks pretty too. I like the colors. I like the colors. If you will, leave in the comments what are some of your favorite, because I actually am looking for more recipes for like a Christmas morning, because now, like I said, my son's not a huge fan of this. I can make this for my husband and I and other extended family, but I would love to know, like, what are some of, especially if you have kids, what are some of the recipes that your kids love, or what are some of the traditions that you make, like, for Christmas morning? I was actually thinking, the last couple of years, I've been thinking of making, like, a monkey bread recipe, because I know that a lot of families will do something like really decadent like that on the holidays, like on a, you know, something special for like Christmas morning or Christmas brunch. So I would like to know what are some things that you make with your family. Like I say, especially for the holidays when you're entertaining, and things that are like one pan dishes like this, just love. All right, so now I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit. We're going to bring back our eggs. In here we had our dozen eggs. And now we're just going to add about 2 cups of heavy cream and mix that really well. And then we're also going to add our nutmeg. And then that is it. It's so easy. It's so good. Heavy cream. Like I said, I do have a finished version of this, so we're not going to wait the 35 minutes it takes to make this, or to wait for it to bake for you to see what it looks like at the end. I made this a few days ago, so I already have a final version for you. Let's see if I can pan over just a little bit. There. So now we're adding our 2nd cup of heavy cream. our nutmeg. Yummy. Like I say, with all the eggs in this and all the vegetables, it's no wonder, and the sausage, it's no wonder why it's incredibly filling. But like I said, I don't really feel guilty eating this because I know that I'm getting a lot of eggs and I'm getting a lot of vegetable. So that's why I like this recipe. And we add our 12 eggs in here, our 2 cups of heavy cream, and now just 1/4 teaspoon of our nutmeg. Again, if your family prefers cinnamon, you can stick with the original recipe more. I just substituted nutmeg for ours, but you go based on your family's taste. 1/4 teaspoon of our nutmeg. Whisk that together real quick here. The one thing Ian, who is my son, is probably sad about that he's not here is he is a big egg cracker. So that's probably the highlight for him for this recipe. He loves to help crack the 12 eggs. But I am certain I'll be making this again in the near future, so he'll have the chance again. So in here, like I said, we just had our 12 eggs and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg and 2 cups of heavy cream. We're now going to pour that on top of our, it's a little hot, on top of our sausage mixture. And then we're going to pop it in our preheated oven. That is all you have to do then, at least until it's done baking. Okay. And I always try to push down, make sure everything is coated with the egg. Any of the mushroom or the sausage is popping out there, I just try to push it underneath my little egg mixture. And there we are. I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to the oven now. But right after I do that, I'm going to show you, like I said, just a plate of our finished casserole so you have some idea what it looks like at the end. And here is just a color. You can see that pretty good, right? Yeah. Here, and it's a good presentation too, as you can see. It's attractive. Obviously, it's all one, it's just one pan, so it makes it so easy to serve, so easy to prepare. And I hope you give this a try. Like I said, it's an easy sausage casserole. If you're not a sausage fan, substitute it for something else that your family does enjoy. I encourage you to give this a shot, especially, like I say, with the holidays coming up. It's so delicious, and it's a great way to sneak in those veggies for the little ones. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this easy sausage breakfast casserole, and you check it out on freebiefindingmom.com. Till next time, thanks so much for watching. Bye.